Go ahead and get this second panel started, but please can we get a round of applause for all our special guests out here. Okay, so let's start with an introduction. What company you guys are, where you guys work for, or where your career is right now. Kind of do a brief introduction. Go ahead. We'll start with Brent.
Hi, my name is Brent Rada. I'm working currently as a network programmer at Chronic Logic. We have made many successful games in the past, one of which was called Gish. If you have played Binding of Isaac, the same artist also worked on that game. That was also his first game to be published to a festival, which was GDC.
Hello, I'm Robert Dunlap. I'm the owner and producer of Extra Games. We're working on Iron Nutty, and we've released Shmadow on Steam.
Cool. Hey there. I am Tomas Ponce de Leon. I am the founder and director at Tiny Hat Studios. We are working on an interesting project known as Dim Light City Brothel Builder. So you guys will probably hear more about it as we talk. So.
Hold on, let me test this. Wait. Okay. No, I can do this one.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. So I'm Rudy. I work with Power. I don't know if you guys have heard of the brand, but I do things in the esports space. And events, so that's probably my main role there. Oh, Power is like computers, so just the computers.
Thanks for the clarification, Rudy. So let's start with the first question. How did you guys get started in the gaming industry? It's always nice to know about the origins, and not a lot of people started where they ended up, kind of thing. And we'll go with Brent.
Strangely, I got lucky. I just offered one. I didn't even apply, it just came to me. But mainly it was due to building connections between people working there, as well as making friends and helping people out when they needed it.
So for myself, I went to UCSD as a computer science major. I worked as a tutor, and
Our upcoming event is April 1st and 2nd. It's going to be the Power Invite, another $16,000 tournament for CSGO top NA teams. I guess to give insight on what I do particularly, it's a little bit of fun. You wear many hats whenever it comes to projects like this, probably because there is not one set role you kind of have to fulfill. There's a primary duty you have to get done, but to be more specific, it's kind of like reaching out to the agency that's going to help us create, to invite the team heard of the UCI Sports Arena. 80 PCs, top of the line. They now have an arena to themselves for the esports program to flourish. I was on the team that also made that happen, and so. The latest one that we have now would be our Invite $60,000 tournament, and then coming up in the summer, we also have this big event aligned with the OC Fair in August. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, that's great.
Sorry, question was day-to-day, right?
Yes, that was the day-to-day life.
My attention sometimes just goes to the window. Day-to-day is always different, I guess. I can give you the prominent things I do. For the most part, is always keeping my finger on the pulse of the collegiate community. So events like this, for example, we try to provide infrastructure. We know how important that is to the community. So I kind of have a grasp on a lot of the community activations. So if you see Power branding on any colleges from here to San Diego to other states, for the most part, that's come through my desk. Decision was made through my team, and then. When it comes to projects, as we get closer to them, like we have Power Invite coming up, that one, again, anywhere between mediating budget to working with like SIBO to push all the messaging out, to working with our PR team, to working with our graphics team, to our social team, to just legitimately, and it's so funny because I'm like 2/3 of that. But it's always about project management probably. It's a lot of that. It has to deal with making sure that you see what needs to get done, recognizing the timelines, making sure everything is met, and then working in conjunction with a lot of different departments to make sure these deadlines are being met or everything's being fulfilled for that one particular event. And then as that moves on, so for example, it'll be a on and off switch. So one moment you're going to be super heavy into your work and your feet's going to be in quicksand. The next is probably going to be, hey, you know what? Take a load off, kick your feet up. Like there's not too much to do, but make sure you start planning for the next big project we have. So there is no, I guess I would say there is no SOP, although there is, but there is no set thing that I would do because every day varies, and it just depends on what our goals are. Our goals are that week or our projects are that one.
Go ahead and keep the mic. Rudy, just in case your attention span doesn't hold this time, I want you to answer this one first. So, for a lot of us in college, right? A lot of us gamers here don't really know how to get that first step into getting your foot in the door kind of thing. So, what would you suggest to a college person trying to get into your industry?
Fucking relax, man. That's like my first advice. I mean, let me talk about myself again before I jump into why I mentioned that is. So when I first started, I'll be frank, I wasn't nobody, right? I thought I knew what the hell I was doing as a cocky little shit, I'll be frank. Whereas I was hurting the organization more than I was actually helping it, right? Because I kind of just boosted my own ego with a lot of the things that I was doing. So originally I had no idea, and then I ended up going along the process of going out to events, seeing what everybody was doing, figuring out their mission statement, and through the experience that I got, so I guess one of the big things I'm going to suggest is get a lot of experience, go out to different things, view different points of view, I guess, and listen to what people have to say, especially organizers, like for example this convention, they'll usually end up changing your mind about a lot of the things that you think you know. But I ended up reframing everything that I thought I knew, right? My philosophy about, no, we have to be the biggest, we have to be the baddest, we have to be the most well-funded, the most people have to come to our event, we have to have the best production value, the best relationships with everyone in the industry, quickly shaped to, you know what can I provide for my community today? Like in this event, right? What kind of experiences do I want to provide for the people that are going to walk in that door, right? So things started quickly changing. And then after a while, I actually, ended up making, with the entire, I guess, friendship, things ended up working out really well. Whereas, we had an event with 2,000 people coming to, more recently, BeachCon was 2,400 people coming. And, we had Amazon, we had Twitch, we had our president of Long Beach State come out, we had a lot of high caliber venture capitalists come just because they wanted to see either me or my partners. And it was insane. But it was only because of that shit, right? And now relating that back to why I said fucking relax was the reason why I was kind of egotistical and just kind of like this the entire time was because I thought I was in a race against time before I graduated to get a job, to be the best, right? I wanted to be the biggest, the baddest, just because I wanted my reputation to stand. And so in that, when it comes down to a lot of these things, what you produce, what you make, what you leave behind is what you're going to be seen for. And so in that, the reason why I mentioned, relax, is because your time is probably best emphasized and used when you focus more on what the community needs and what you can do for everybody else. In that, it provides an insight for everybody to view you as either a leader, or it helps the process of your name being passed along, probably because you're working for them. I think that's like the biggest mission statement when it comes down to how I got my foot in the door, is I was recognized by Razer and Avapower. Razer provided me an offer, and then Avapower provided me an offer. Once they heard that Razer had provided me an offer, and then Blizzard gave me an offer. I was like, oh shit, right? I went with Avapower primarily because Blizzard essentially took everything that I wanted to do outside of Blizzard, and it's just basically knock it off. You only work for Blizzard. Razer didn't have a good experience with them, so I just decided not to. Avapower wasn't going to be the easiest job, and that's why I loved it. It's the fact that we have to basically, there's this terminology, I think it's called hustling. That's what we have to do, right? To create everything that we have. Low budgets, high goals. It's basically what we do. But I think in terms of getting your foot in the door, it's always about what impressions you make and what you create is probably going to be your biggest, the best available kit you have to promote yourself and getting in anywhere. So hopefully that answers your question.
But next time, let's do it this different way. And Pat, Scott, and Bobby Rose, who talked on the previous panel earlier today, that they talked a lot about failure and sort of like how do you handle failure? And I think that's also a problem that within the game industry, and creativity in general, is that failure is a necessary step to success. You have to fail. You have to be willing to fail. You don't plan on failing, but you have to understand that failure is common. It's significantly more common that someone will fail making a game, whether they fail at the execution or they fail at the marketing, many, many more times than the success stories that you hear of, like, you know, Notch making billions of dollars. That's very rare. You know, the same could be true for like Angry Birds and Clash of Clans. Rio, the developers for Angry Birds, that was their 26th game that they released. So they had 25 games that no one else heard of. You know, that's the big thing, is that it took them that many tries where they kept learning from, like, how do we do better? What's the, you know, how do we get polished? What's the market trends? Being on top of that. The same could be true for Supercell for Clash of Clans. I think it was, they didn't even release the 12 games that they made before Clash of Clans. They even brought one to like soft launch, and it didn't do well enough that they canceled it. For Overwatch, for Blizzard, that Titan was their next-gen MMO project that they were working on. And they had spent years and years and years working on that project. And it got canceled. And all the team, they were really depressed. And they, you know, that was sort of one of their philosophies of Overwatch, of like, how do we design something that's more cheerful? And that's why they went like the superhero comic book kind of aesthetic, was to be more, you know, positive. But they were coming out of a failure. They learned from that, they grew from that. And I think that as game developers, or just in general in life, is you have to be willing to make risks, and you have to build things, you have to learn from things. And it's just like, just understand it and grow.
So, the average amount of money that an indie game released on Steam will generally make in its lifetime is around $3,000, which isn't terribly much given the amount of time and effort that goes into these games. The adult games industry is a little bit different because most of the time these niche, small, normally not terribly good adult games make $3,000 a month, right? So even though there's a difference in skill level and quality, there's also a lot more money circulating around the adult games industry, which highlighted something to me once I started working with other devs, right? Trying to make those connections with other people working on similar games as I am, despite the fact that they weren't necessarily making the games for fun. That might have been one of the motivations why they started. This ended up becoming their full-time job now, right? So they're professional game developers earning a living making these games. And the mistake I noticed the most is nobody treated it like a business. I start to ask people, do you draft up contracts for any of the people you're working with? Are you guys filed as an LLC? Are you guys actually doing your taxes? Like, what's going on? And a lot of what I heard back is, no, we're just making games, right? It doesn't matter, we're just making games. But the important thing to understand is, especially once you start making money, is that your game company is a business. You have to run it like a business. You have to think about not only how much money is going into the game, but how much money is coming out of it. And even if your main goal is not necessarily to get rich, but just to keep making games and doing something you love, you still need to be able to make enough to sustain yourself, if that's what you want to be doing full time. So careful consideration has to be put into your market verticals, into who's going to buy your game, as to how you're going to sell it, how you're going to make money. Even without trying to, even if you're just making it for fun, that's the difference between a for-profit corporation.
Common mistake you see in the industry, or one of them, or maybe even for people who are just starting off, or maybe even seasoned people in the industry?
Okay, so I can't speak generally, but I work in marketing and business development and project management and everything else in between. That's actually a really broad question. What am I thinking? What is the common mistake? Okay, let's go with the marketing side, I guess, first. There's a lot of overlap, but I think segmenting would definitely be a good idea. In terms of marketing, people blanket everything too much. I think in terms of specification, they don't really hit the target because they don't choose to specify. I think in terms of like business development, I think in terms of like value props, people think that their value prop is super significant, and sometimes they don't really hit the target of what the value prop means to somebody else and what they want out of the negotiation, or the entire deal, or partnership, or relationship, or however you want to call it. And then project management, too much on too many people's plates, and there is no proper coordination. In terms of starting off in the esports industry, or let's say that individual organizers like this, with events like this, I think the biggest mistakes that are made are just the structure of their organization, as well as the, that's probably it. It's the structure of their organization, is the fact that they don't get all their ducks in a row before putting themselves out there in the industry, because the industry is an entirely different, I guess, boar, not boar as in B-O-R-E, as in B-O-A-R, as in a big freaking massive animal. It's a much different animal than it is here. We actually will get swept on the rug if you're not ready for it. So I think a lot of the mistakes that people make here is the fact that they believe they're good enough, and that kind of sucks, because then you have to tell them you're not good enough, and then their egos just kind of get shut on. And then they don't understand where to go from there, because they now feel not good enough. So I think ego is a huge thing. I think remaining humble throughout the entire process is definitely a good trait to have, in terms of, let's say you want to get a job out of here. Make sure you know how to sell yourself. You provide a value prop that your next employer is going to see and want to be a part of, or can use in terms of skill set. Everyone talks about skills. I think the skills are fantastic. And you should definitely have skills, but above any of that, you should have enthusiasm for what you're doing. And I think that's also a big thing, where people just want to create the resumes, build themselves, but they don't really have the enthusiasm that a lot of, I think you touched upon that a little bit, where you say you go to a venue, or you go to an event, you see someone that's passionate about it, they can show you projects, fantastic, you'll take them, right? But it's the enthusiasm they have towards everything that they're building, right? You're not going to build an entire video game if you don't have enthusiasm. You're not going to do something for free if you don't have enthusiasm over what you're doing. And passion can also be a different situation, and of course I think there's a lot of overlap in those, but I think the mistake that a lot of people do is confuse enthusiasm with passion, with egocentric necessities. At least on the individual level that I've seen, in terms of mistakes that I see, this is everywhere too, this includes the industry. There's a lot of people we don't want to work with just because no one likes them, right? They're egomaniacs, and the more power they get, the worse they are. But I think to answer the question, for the most part, it's a big question, but I think lack of enthusiasm, English is my second language, lack of enthusiasm, lack of passion, and I think we'll leave it at that, I guess. Lack of enthusiasm, lack of passion, and I think a lot of people miss the target on what is actually necessary, because they're stuck in this fantasy land of what they think, who they think they are, and what they think they can serve to somebody else, in terms of getting a job or an organization. So
Definitely. Okay, now for the last question of our panel.
Do you want to keep this over here, or do you
Yeah.
want to over there?
Go ahead. Sure. Keep it on to Rudy so he gets the question out first. So for the last question of the day, and since I know you're a big fan of big broad questions, Rudy, I want to kind of hear your thoughts on where you think the gaming industry is moving forward in the next couple of years. Where do you see it at, and do you think it's going to maintain the fast pace of growth that it's having in the past couple of years?
damn it, that is also very broad. I think gaming, I can only speak for a particular corner of what gaming encompasses, just because that's where I'm coming from. So I kind of just disclaim that so that everyone kind of understands that I can't speak for gaming in general, and everything that I say should probably be taken with a grain of salt. I'm only speaking on the esports level. That's the competitive and grassroots community, whether it's esports or casual gaming. So I'll talk on the community level. There's been a massive push, at least within esports, for a lot of colleges to have funded esports programs. Now, esports by definition is a competitive video gaming whatever scene, right? So a lot of things that a lot of organizations struggle with is encompassing casual games, right? Which we have indie games as well. And are you guys competitive or casual?
Competitive.
Competitive?
Casual.
Casual. See, so we have all the spectrums here on the table, and they both, I'm pretty sure if we had an event, both of them would want to be encompassed because they both have something to display. So I think that there's going to be a lot bigger push for these things to show within, at least within the community, whether it's collegiate, whether it's, I've seen a lot of value propositions being thrown in my inbox for high school now, right? We have a lot of high schools coming up saying, oh my gosh, we love what you guys do and we want to be a part of that. We're building our gaming program on campus. We have our faculty helping us out. And I'm like, that's freaking amazing. I wish I could help you. I'm not going to, but that's amazing, right? To see like this big uprising in gaming. And so I think it's just going to grow. And I think for those that are business savvy are going to recognize this as a fantastic opportunity to just kind of grab those numbers and pitch it to create more businesses that are going to hopefully provide for the gaming and esports community as a whole versus just themselves. And then on the esports industry level, I mean, shoot, you have a lot of different things being monopolized at the moment. We have the competitive corporate scene, we have individual organizations, and at the ground level, we have the grassroots community also supporting these massive organizations. But I think that's also going to be eventually structured, hopefully, willingly. And then there's going to be an actual, it's going to be legitimized finally as a thing, right? Where people can actually get into the esports scene as a career full time now. Where right now there's a lot of people dropping out just because they can't fulfill the requirements of an organization, or a lot of organizations are running in red right now. So a lot of the way that they're running is through a lot of these venture capitalist money. So you'll see like in the news every single every week almost, or every other day, you'll see a brand new venture, this big like Cloud9 recently just closed $50 million with 21 investors, right? And you'll see that happening more often because a lot of these companies, although they are very much big and prominent within the scene, they tend to operate a little bit. Oh, sorry, is that my time?
No.
They tend to operate on the other side of the spectrum in terms of they have a lot of the brands all over the place, but they're not creating as much money, and so to keep afloat, they bring in these venture capitalists, and eventually that builds kind of like the ceiling of what esports can be like. And eventually, if you dump enough money into something, it's going to start creating money, or at least that's the idea. So that's kind of where I see it moving. Is there's going to be a lot of standardization for what the esports community is like once everyone gets on board. But hopefully that answers the question, and it goes up to
Right now.
Oh, this one.
Go ahead, Rudy. Wrap it up.
I'm pretty sure it would be. So just kind of to add my 2 cents on the VR aspect of it, I think you're absolutely right on that front, but that's considering that's only B2C. Considering the B2B play though, there's a lot of, or at least commercial use. There's a lot of different activities that you can do. For example, you can shop whenever you go to an Amazon brick and mortar. You can view the products and just kind of pick them out. You can go to a hospital or a school and then kind of view it. Like if you're a surgeon, you can view the parts and kind of play with the idea of how to put them out. And there's a lot of different designs being put out there for commercial use in terms of B2C. Though I think you're absolutely correct. The market hasn't matured, and people are not ready for that kind of thing, especially because of the price points being offered for those. It's more of an enthusiast approach to that, but in terms of B2B, there's definitely a big play in terms of selling it to other, whether it's Honda who wants you to see their products firsthand, pick them out, kind of drive them with a VR headset. There's a lot more use for that than there would be, as a regular person trying to play video games on. I just want to add 2 cents in there.
Yeah, definitely.